Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our series of scan data modeling. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to create the back surface right here. And then in the next one, we'll have a look at the curved basic surface here before getting into transition surfaces. Okay, for this, we are going to use a tool called FitCurve, which works very nicely with scan data intersections. So the first thing I'm going to do is to bring on some Z sections on this scan data here. So I pick the scan data and I choose the Z intersections, and we need to step that one down in size. Let's go for 5 millimeters so we get a bunch of intersection curves on the scan data here. Now we're going to convert a couple of these into some nice NURBS curves instead. And for that, we use the curve edit and FitCurve. So I'm going to pick the one at the bottom here, like that. And what this does is that it tries to approximate a curve for the entire cross section with a 3-degree curve with only one span. And obviously that cannot be done in a very nice way. But luckily we get a couple of handles right here at the beginning and the end of the curve. And we can pull on those so that the curve takes on the length that we desire, something like that. And now we have a curve that is sitting within 0.03 of a millimeter, which is very nice. Now I'm gonna try and pull the ends here to get an even distribution across the symmetry plane. We do want this curve to be symmetrical in the end. So let's just tell you what, let's also bring on the diagnostic shading here and see if we get an idea of how far we can stretch this curve. I don't want to get out in the radius here, so I can probably go a little further with that curve. So with object edit, query edit, this FitCurve has a history. I can pull this handle, say maybe up to here, and try and do the same thing on the other side approximately, and try to center those two. That was maybe a bit too far. Something like that. Pull that one out slightly. Let's say this is what we want, and we are now under 0.02 of a millimeter, which is very nice. Also, I need to make this curve symmetrical. So I pick the curve, get rid of the history, delete history. And then we go to object edit, symmetric modeling. And now we have a deviation there of 0.2 of a millimeter, which is slightly too much, I would say. So let's try and bring that a bit closer. I'm going to bring up the quality of the curved drawings here and see what we can do. So I'm going to pick the CV right here and move it in the X direction and try to bring it closer to that curve, something like that. And we now have a deviation of 0.05 of a millimeter. So that analysis stayed on there. If I want to analyze the distance between one curve and another, I can always bring on the locator called deviation curve to curve. So I pick the curve, and I also pick the cross section, and then I get minimum and maximum deviation for between those two curves. So let's do this again with a curve higher up here. So we take curve edit, FitCurve, and perhaps pick this one right there. Again, we need to pull the ends to the area which we are going to work. Something like that to begin with, and pull it out with its ends to approximately the same length as that one, and also approximately get a symmetric distribution of the CVs here. And once we're done with that, we'll pick the curve, kill the history, and also make that one symmetrical. And again, we get a deviation of 0.2 of a millimeter, which I find slightly too much. So I'm gonna pick the CV right here and pull it back slightly to really close to our cross-section curve. So now we're within 0.05 of a millimeter, which is nice. Okay, so now we have two curves. We need a surface between those two. And actually, I'm gonna try a skin and see what that does. And usually when you create a skin, the surface is entirely flat in this direction here. If we look at the control vertices for the surface, we can see that it's just flat. And we know from looking at our scan data that this surface right here needs to have a shape to it. So I'm going to turn on the crown function on that. And you see it added a row of control vertices and it also added some shape to it. We can see that in the ends, for instance. So if I pull this arrow, I can add some shape to it. Now I need to know how close to the scan data I am. So we're going to work with that crown, but we need to turn on cross sections here. So let's clear our Z sections for now. Pick these two objects and add some Y sections to this one. Yeah. And what we can see now, the green cross section represents the surface and the white one is our scan data. And clearly we need to add some more of that crowning of this surface. So let's do that by using object edit, query edit, click on the surface, and we're back in the creation state of this surface. So I'm going to pull this arrow and see if I can get real close to our cross sections there. And I think we're just about there. Let's also have a check with our deviation map. I click the surface. Oh, we need to specify the distance also. So 0.1, which is a bit tough. 0.2 is plenty enough. Except click the scan data and we get a color representation, and it's all green, looks all good. Bring that down to 0.1 and we get a few yellow spots here, but that's quite all right. So I'm happy with this surface. So let's keep that one, and in the next episode we are going to extend the surface. So bear with me for a few more seconds. So I'm going to kill the history of this surface since I'm happy with it. Delete history like that. Also, we need to make the surface symmetrical. So we bring on symmetric modeling to it like that. And now we can extend merge this surface right here, or skin, and pull that one up so that it intersects our top surface. Let's have a look at that and see what it looks like. Yeah, we got a clear intersection here, which is nice. Also, we could extend the surface in this direction as well. So we are well capturing our scan data here. Let's do that. So extend merge on that end, bring that one out slightly like so. And you can see that our analysis, our cross-section analysis is following still, and it's looking good. So I'm going to stop there, and in the next episode, we're going to work on the front surface over here, which is our last basic surface. And after that, we'll go into transition surfaces. Thanks for listening.